Hello you guys and welcome back to Bookmas. It's Bookmas Day 4. Welcome back to my channel. My name's Oksana. Today we're going to be talking about my most anticipated releases in 2025. Honestly, I am so excited for 2025 in terms of reading because as I was scouring the internet looking up like books that are going to be released in 2025, I already preemptively got like all psyched up for them and I made a list. I categorized them by the release date. So, without a further ado, let me introduce you to my list of the most anticipated reads. We are kicking off our year with the new debut, release of S.F. Williamson's The Language of Dragons on January 2nd. I honestly did not know anything about this book until it was like researching the new releases for the upcoming year, but it sounds so interesting. So we're set in London in 1923. There are dragons that are just like freely flying in the sky. We do have some class society system in place because our main character, Vivian, I believe is her name, she belongs into the third class or third level, so I assume the poor. Vivian just wants to be a good girl, honestly. She wants to get an education and become a dragon language translator. But as the book synopsis say, by mid-afternoon of the day when we met our character, she started a civil war. We don't know why, but her parents get arrested, his sister goes missing, Vivian herself gets a very peculiar job offer, very strange, very little details known about it. She of course takes it because it will allegedly save her family. She becomes a code breaker, someone who works on the side of the army in the war and tries to get all the dragons' secrets to help pivot the turn of the war. Soon enough, she starts questioning a lot of things and is kind of wondering whether everything she believes to be true is in fact so. I don't know, this book sounded fascinating to me. It reminded me a little bit of Babel by just the description, but then the dragons are thrown in there. It's also promised to be a very slow enemies to lovers, set in kind of like a dark academia setting, has a lot of political intrigue, plot twists, and betrayals. I am down. January 11th, we have Gendry Hendrix's Witchcraft for Wayward Girls. Now, I personally only read one Hendrix's book, and that is a Southern's Book Club Guide to Slaying Vampires. I don't know, this name is totally and utterly confusing. I couldn't find a lot of information on this new book online as well. All I know about it is that it's set in Florida in 1950, and we're following young women who live under the same roof in this kind of home for unwed mothers. And the only thing they have in common, all these women, is that they are seeking guidance in learning and taking up witchcraft. Next, January 21st. If you're a fantasy girly or a romantasy girly, you know this date. You have it scorched on your heart. You literally cannot wait, just like me. Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros. That finally comes out. I obviously won't be telling you what this book is about because you have to read Fourth Wing and Iron Flame before that, but it's the third installment in the Empyrean series by Rebecca Yarros, and I just cannot wait. I'm literally on the edge. My Kindle book is pre-ordered. My beautiful bestest friend pre-ordered me a British copy of Iron Flame, so I'll be getting that while I'm on vacation in Ukraine with my family. I am just so stoked. I just can't tell you. I am so stoked. Then I will probably need a little bit of time to recover after reading Onyx Storm, so we're moving straight to February 4th. We have a new release from TJ Klune, and it's called The Bones Beneath My Skin. So far, I only read one book by this author, and it's Under the Whispering Door. I honestly was just on a whim searching for available audiobooks on Libby because I always listen to them on my way to work. This one was available, so I picked it up without a second thought and then just randomly fell in love with the book, the plot, the author, everything all together. So when I saw that the new book is coming out, I was like, yep, sign me up. I did not even see what this book is about. I believe it has something to do with a person dealing with his past life, living in a small cabin in the woods. There's a mysterious little girl who's being hunted or haunted by something. They need to rescue her. There's another queer love story. What's not to love? Allegedly on the same day, we have quite a different book to the previous one, Ellie Hazelwood's Deep End. Now, I cannot call myself Ellie Hazelwood's girly. I only so far read one book by her. It was Check and Mate. I adored it. It was a very young adult, well, it is young adult, love story, no spice, nothing like that, but very heartwarming. I truly loved it, and I don't understand the hate that this book is getting. Oh, sorry, in my reading only holiday books reading vlog, I also picked up her very short novella that's available on Kindle Limited. I think it's called Cruel Winter with You. That was okay, not my favorite, but However, I am actually excited to pick this book up and see if I like it. I know she usually writes about women in STEM, and then all her MMCs are basically like copy paste. They're all like broody, big, you know, ginormous and stuff like that. This one though is about a competitive diver and an ace swimmer. I don't know, I used to watch like diving competitions online quite often because just mesmerizing. So I don't know, excited for this one. February 11th, we have Bryn Weaver's Scythe and Sparrow, third and final book in the Ruinous Love trilogy. We are following, I actually don't remember, is he the middle brother or like the youngest brother? I have no clue. His name is Fionn. He's the one who is kind of like a surgeon, but his career failed. He fled to a small town in Nebraska, works as a doctor there. All of a sudden in his life, this girl comes in, I believe her name is Rose. She is a circus performer, but also does a little bit of murder on the side. One of the murderous nights goes wrong and she breaks her leg, and then she ends up in Fionn's care. I am so stoked for this one. I will be though consuming this book via an audiobook, just like I did with the previous two, and we'll see if this one will top Butcher and the Blackbird, because so far Butcher and the Blackbird is still my favorite in the trilogy. February 13, we have Hungerstone by Kat Dunn. This book is described to be very similar or inspired by S.T. Gibson's Dowry of Blood, and if you need to know one thing about me is that I ate up Dowry of Blood. It was one of my favorite books in 2024. I am living, loving, laughing for that book. So if that's anything similar to that, yes, please sign me up. It is a Carmilla retelling. We have a little queer story in there. Vampires, female vampires, badass female vampires. Thank you. Okay, now this one is a little bit funny. We have Rebel Witch coming out on February 18th, and this is the second book in the Crimson Moth or after Crimson Moth. I'm sorry, I don't remember what the series is called, but why it's funny, I actually never read the first book yet. So I have to read the first one, but I'm already excited for the second one. I don't know, just readers be readers. Also, all I know about these books is that it's a love story between a witch and a witch hunter. So I guess enemies to lovers. Guys, I don't really know if this book is all over the internet. What else can I say? The Unworthy by Agostina Basterica, translated by Sarah Moss, comes out on March 4th. This is supposed to be yet another great dystopian novel by the author of Tender is the Flesh. We are following our main character, a woman who lives in this convent somewhere. It's very remote, very secluded. It's basically like a sisterhood, and she tries to write her love story with everything at her disposal. She is unfortunately deemed unworthy by the sisterhood, so she cannot take any higher ranks in said sisterhood, but she is kind of looking up to those who do take those higher ranks. One day we have this new addition added to the unworthy ranks, but she is not like any other girl in this rank. She immediately starts asking everything. She kind of doubts the authority all the time, and she asks our narrators uncomfortable questions she doesn't want to answer. But one day she actually herself starts questioning things, and then the most disturbing thing is that she cannot remember her past or her life before she joined the sisterhood. It is described as a dystopian tale about climate crisis, ideological extremism, and also what happens to people when they follow their most violent instincts. Another March 4 release, we have Ava Reid's new book, Fable for the End of the World. So this world is very similar to Hunger Games in its concept. We have this ruler entity, Ceres, that kind of controls every single aspect of human society by controlling people's debt. Our main character, Inessa, and her brother, I don't think we know his name yet, but they both run a taxidermy shop in their little town. They barely make their ends meet, and they kind of just like live basically paycheck to paycheck, or, you know, very poorly. Unfortunately, without them knowing, their mother acquired so much debt that it qualified both of her kids to take part in Ceres's live-streamed assassination spectacle or game, Lamb's Gauntlet. This is where the Hunger Games aspect comes from. It is a televised killing show. Hugh and another main character, I believe her name is Melano, I don't know how to pronounce it correctly, but she is a trained assassin that competes in this televised killing spectacle, and she basically has to kill Inessa in order to win, or kill other competitors. Obviously there are going to be more people in it, I believe. Now Inessa, she's kind of like a bad girl. She's like, you know what, I've survived so much shit in this life that, you know, I'm gonna give it a go, and I'm actually gonna try to win the gauntlet. I'm already anticipating a lot of chasing between the two girls, but also like is described as they're gonna start questioning things, they're gonna start questioning authority as well, they're gonna question each other, and then they're gonna be like one day be like, oh, we're falling in love slightly. So I'm excited for that one. I'm actually really excited for that one, and I know Ava Reid can deliver a fantastic story. Another banger in April 22nd, Emily Henry releases her Great Big Beautiful life. I actually specifically did not read too much about this book because I kind of want to be surprised a little bit. I know it's about two authors. I know they're very different, kind of like Grumpy Sunshine type of deal. I know they go to this island to try and write the biography of a very famous person that lived like a very spectacular lifestyle. I know there's going to be some interesting ideas about life and friendship and happy endings and stuff like that. Like I said, I don't want to know anything about this book. I want to be in awe, and I love Emily Henry so much. Cannot wait until April. April 25, we have Julie Chan is Dead. I did not know anything about this book before I actually started my research as well, but it sounded so interesting that I'm like, you know what? Add it to the list. Julie has a twin sister, Chloe. Julie's very jealous of Chloe. Chloe seemingly has it all. She's a very successful influencer. She's rich, she's hot, she has cool friends. Julie is just a, supermarket cashier. She doesn't really have a lot of financial stability. She's basically just like a sad girly. Until one day, Chloe dies, and Julie's like, wait, we're twins. I'm gonna actually take her life and make it mine. Don't know why. I guess the premise is kind of similar but not the same. But when I was reading the description, I was like, oh, it's screaming Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. I don't know why, but it sounded so good. As Julie kind of lives Chloe's life a little bit, she slowly realizes that not everything is as perfect as it seemed. Chloe actually does not have it all. Chloe's friends are kind of a little bit standoffish and Julie doesn't really vibe with them, but they go to this island retreat or somewhere like a vacation spot, and then Julie suddenly realizes that Chloe probably didn't just die, but something happened to her, and now Julie might be the next target. A little bit of mystery, a little bit of thriller, a little bit of like fake identity. I'm here for it. Sometime in April, because as I was researching books for this video, the date was not announced yet, but Olivia Blake comes out with her new book called Gifted and Talented. When I say that this one is a combination between TV show Succession and the fall of House of Usher, so the CEO of this mega tech company dies. He was considered like the father of modern technology. He has 3 kids, and now they have to decide who's going to be the heir of his empire. We have Meredith, who's like a textbook definition of a successful eldest daughter. She achieved it all. She even cured mental illness. Hello? Like the girly pop is like doing girly pop things. But then she really needs to inherit her father's business because she needs to shut up her ex-fiance or her ex-boyfriend for him not to reveal her as a fraud to the world. Arthur is our middle child. He is the youngest congressman in the history of, I assume, the US, and he's allegedly fighting good every day at his job. He's running for re-election, but his campaign is failing, so he needs his dead inheritance to kind of get a pat on the back and maybe like boost his campaign and actually use it to win the re-election. And then we have the youngest daughter, who used to be this prodigy level ballerina. Unfortunately, she got injured and her career kind of ended without really truly taking off in the first place, and she got stuck being a marketing exec at her father's company. Now she wants to become an heiress so she can finally get the recognition she thinks she deserves. When I was reading about this book, there was a line that said, if there's a will, there's a war. Guys, Succession, Fall of the House of Usher. Together, I'm really hoping that Olivia Blake gives us a masterpiece with this one because this screams potential. I am so interested. On May 20th, we have new release from Frederick Bachman called My Friends. This story has kind of a split timeline, 25 years prior to the main events in the story. We follow a group of teenagers. I believe there's 3 of them, and they're kind of like spending their summer days in the seaside town. They're hanging out by the pier, they're hanging out by the docks, they're having fun, they're joking around. They're like each other's best friends. Somehow, out of that summer, we get this beautiful piece of art that ends up in our main character's hands 25 years after. She loves this painting so much that she decides to actually go and visit the town where this painting was taken. And as she gets closer and closer to this town, she gets more anxious. She decides to find the people in the painting, to learn their stories. And then I believe this book overall was described as a beautiful telling about friendship, about art, and about the fact that sometimes happy endings are not easily found in places we tend to look for. for them. On June 3rd, we have The Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I love Taylor Jenkins Reid so much. I read Seven Husbands by Evelyn Hugo, devoured that. And I also listened to Daisy Joan and the Six. Still one of the best books, and definitely the books that kind of helped me get back into reading slowly, for sure. When I read about this one, I was like, okay, sold. We are following our main character. She is a physics professor at the university. She was also always fascinated by this guy, and one day she sees this NASA kind of sign-up sheet for people to travel in space. She's like, you know what? I'm gonna try and do it. She in fact does get selected for this program, and then she begins her training. We also follow a cast of complex and extremely interesting support characters that are going through the same training as she does. But then during one of the missions in December of 1984, everything changes. I trust Taylor Jenkins Reid to basically write a beautiful story that's gonna captivate my attention and probably make me cry in the end. June 10th, our queen, V.E. Schwab, comes out with Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil. Again, do not know too much about this book. They're very vague on the internet about it. I know it's about vampires. There are 3 different women. We're following them through different timelines, different cities, but they're somehow connected. They're vampires. We love vampires. I don't really need to know anything else about this book. Also, it's written by V.E. Schwab, so what's the problem here? Another release for June 10th. June is packed months, maybe because it's my birthday months also, but you know, we're gonna be busy in June. But yeah, another release. This one actually pisses me off. I will be reading it just purely out of spite. It's called Caught Up by Nevessa. It's a second book in whatever trilogy series, I don't even know the name, but we had Lights Out, and now we have Caught Up, where we're following Nico, who's our FMC's from Lights Out cousin, who does dirty cleanup work. He apparently is following his high school sweetheart. I don't know, guys. I'm purely gonna be reading this because I know that the girls here and on Book Talk will not be able to shut up about it. So I just wanna be like in the loop. June 17th, our beautiful Ashley Poston delivers yet another masterpiece, I hope so, and it's called Sounds Like Love. This one is about Joni, very successful songwriter from LA who's unfortunately going through a little bit of a down period in her life. Nothing works the same. She unfortunately cannot write any songs at the moment. She kind of feels a little bit broken and she doesn't know why. So she decides to go back home to North Carolina, to her hometown, and maybe, you know, get some inspiration from there. Her bad luck kind of follows her there as well because nothing is the way she left it. Her best friend is ignoring her. Her absolutely favorite like music shop, or is it like a little concert hall, that one's closing down. She still cannot write anything. And then all of a sudden she realizes that there's this melody basically just stuck in her head 24/7. So it's like playing in her head constantly in the loop. Honestly, I would go crazy, but you know. Until it leads her to our MMC, who also hears the same melody day in and day out, and they have to write a song together for it to, you know, become normal again and hopefully cure their lives of bad luck and bring a little romance in there as well. Last but not least, August 28th of 2025. Are you guys ready? This is probably the most anticipated book. Please don't tell other books on this list, but I just cannot wait for this one. Is there any way I can get an arc of Calabasas by R.F. Kuang? Now, if you want to know something about me, is that I am very passionate about Piranesi by Susanna Clarke being one of the best books ever. I am also extremely passionate about Latin language. I used to take it in college. I basically got obsessed with this language. If you tell me that it's not a language because it's dead, I love it so much. I used to translate it for hours on end. I even found Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone translated into Latin, and I read that. And this book is discovered as a combination of Dante's Inferno and Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. Now, see why I'm excited? This is gonna be something that I think is gonna change my life forever. And I just can't. Can we just fast forward to August? I don't really like August as a month, but I will learn to love it because Calabasas comes out in August. Now a little bit about the plot. We have Alice. She's an extremely hardworking student. All she wants to do is study magic. She wants to study magic under a certain professor. I believe his name is Jeremy Grimes. He is described as the most talented magic professor ever. you know, in the history of the worlds. He unfortunately dies in a magical incident that is believed to be caused by none other than Alice herself. But you know, Alice is badass. She's like, you know what? No, he cannot escape me like this. I'm gonna travel to hell to save him. As the way I can't even, I'm salivating at the mouth thinking about this book. We are gonna be actually recreating Dante's Circles of Hell. I'm gonna lose my mind. I need this book right now. Give it to me, Rachel, please. Please. So she sets to travel to hell, but then her academic rival, what is his name? Okay, his name is Peter, random. But Peter also wants to study under this professor, so Peter's like, I'm gonna go as well. So they both together set out on the journey to travel to hell and go see their favorite professor. And it's a love story from R.F. Kuang that is set in hell. And these people are working together. And so these are the books. These are the books that I am so excited to pick up in 2025. I am sure there will be more. Books are being announced almost every day, so you know, I'm certain I'm gonna find something to add to the list. But other than that, I think we're pretty much set. Please let me know in the comments below what are some of the books that you are excited the most in 2025. And as always, I'll see you in the next one. Love you, bye!